And I want to be totally clear, I'm not choosing sides between the Catholics and the Orthodox and the different groups that balkanize the country, or the pro-Russian side, the pro-EU side. Bottom line, though, hands down, we can prove that George Soros, the National Endowment for Democracy, the State Department, Hillary Clinton, and the usual suspects like Hillary have been involved at every level and have started it and told the Ukrainians, be nice, don't resist the violent protesters, and the West won't criticize you. And now the arms have been served out to the operatives, and they're shooting people en masse. So the Ukrainians are getting ready to crush them with the military. And if it gets bad enough, the Russian military will come in. And it is a serious situation. The truce has been broken. The city is burning in many areas of Kiev, their capital. We're going to be breaking that down with Paul Watson in the next segment. It is a big, big deal. And the reason it looks so much like Syria, as Lou Rockwell writes today, is because it's another proxy war. And it's a very dangerous situation. Here's some of the headlines on that subject. Violence in Ukraine creates a deepening clash between East and West. That's in the New York Times. As deaths rise in Kiev, so do fears Ukraine will use troops. And I've got quotes by Obama here about you should not use force on the peaceful demonstrators. They're not peaceful. And again, people are like, Alex, well, don't you like people beating cops and fighting the government? No, I don't ever like police beating innocent, peaceful protesters, and I call them thugs, scum, cowards, wherever they do it, whether it's in China or the U.S., Ukraine or Moscow. But I don't like the police order to stand down while they're shot. See, I like justice, folks, and I can look at something and watch a bunch of Western-backed stooges with guns shooting police that don't even shoot back. And I know a provocation for nationwide civil war and carnage and the destruction of another sovereign country so it can be sucked up the New World Order vacuum cleaner. See, I don't attack people until they attack me. See, I follow common law, the Bible. I don't even need to read the Bible, folks. Common sense is written on my heart. It's called common sense, ladies and gentlemen, that you don't attack somebody first, that you don't go out and stir up trouble first, that you try to take the high road first. And I'm quite frankly surprised those police haven't mowed down thousands of people. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. Also, if you had like a Chinese regime like in the late 1980s with Tiananmen Square, I'll just get into this now. And they'd been persecuting and killing and shooting people for years and oppressing, and then the public started shooting back to overthrow them, I would back that. But the Ukrainian government, compared to many of the past governments they've had, has been moderate. And they've been trying to work out a deal with the EU and Russia to just have joint support and build up their country. And the globalists don't want that. They want to bring them down. So I've actually studied the situation, and it's just not warranted to go shoot the first cop you see on the street. That's not some cop worshiping event, as I saw some people criticizing yesterday's show on Infowars.com in the comments, and I saw on YouTube. You know, I just am not for starting big, bloody French Revolution civil wars where you go around murdering and killing when your main general funding you is George Soros. You know, I think that's what it is. George Soros is one of their main ringwraith, Nazgul leaders funding this on record, and that's why I'm against it. The very same UN globalists that are financing open borders and taking my guns and government-run health care and every other nightmare, the people that give us bad things, the people that give us bad fruit, the people that lie to us and cheat us and do all and fund Al-Qaeda and blow up churches in Syria and all over the Middle East, the same ones arming Al-Qaeda so they can retake parts of Western Iraq right now, the same ones sowing discord and so they can bring in world government on the ashes of national sovereignty. They're the ones telling me what great freedom fighters these Ukrainians are. And I'm sure those Ukrainians have got a beef. I'm sure some cop roughed them up once, or they didn't like the taxes or something that went on. The point is that they're being used to bring their country completely down. And I've weighed it all, and it's evil. What's happening in Ukraine is being run by the New World Order. It's so frustrating, as I was saying earlier, when you're informed geopolitically and you see the general public, 1/4 of which in the U.S. don't even know that the Earth orbits the sun. 99% of people, if you go to a trendy area, will sign a petition to ban water if it's for Al Gore or for Obama. If you use the term dihydrogen monoxide, you realize that these people are literally dumber than a box of rocks and helpless. And then when you actually study something like Kony 2012, or you study something like the new video they put out a month or so ago to launch the latest activities in the border region with Russia, Ukraine, centered in the capital, Kiev, you even go to the videos that our media is calling grassroots independent and that are being aired by CNN, MSNBC, and others in push, like Kony 2012, and there it is, funded by the State Department, funded by Soros Group, openly being run by the CIA. This is incredible. And again, this is not the CIA trying to overthrow some communist dictator in the third world, like in your granddaddy's CIA, that had its own problems. This is a CIA wanting to put in kleptocratic socialist EU systems to absolutely bankrupt Ukraine, bring in one-child policies through taxes, Agenda 21, just hellish social engineering you see going on everywhere they're in control. And Paul Watson did a great job in a video and in an article that's up on Infowars.com right now, exposed Ukrainian protester backed by Kony 2012 style scam. Now, remember, we exposed Kony 2012, and I have to say, they even put a video out responding to us, admitting it, that this radio show was the main program and a video we put out that DrudgeReport.com carried, give credit where it's due, that exposed they were funded by government and by big liberal think tanks that wanted to be able to invade all of Africa. And then they went to Congress to get a month after that came out, right on time, and had like 50 million views or whatever it was. It was more than that. I think it was 100-something million. They came to him and said, we need a resolution to invade anywhere in Africa, anyone aiding Kony or anyone like him. It was a blank declaration of war, basically. Blank check. To just go in and take over all these regions and actually put radical Muslims in some cases. Like in the case of the Ivory Coast in Africa, their own government came out and said, there are NATO troops here with AFRICOM and the U.S. putting a radical Islamicists in charge. You know, Kony hadn't been seen now in 7+ years. At the time of the filming, it had been 6. It's almost 8 years. He's been dead. He controlled a few hundred square miles in the middle of nowhere. To give you an idea, that'd be like having a bandit in South Texas that didn't leave one county and saying, we have to bomb the whole U.S. to find one guy hadn't been seen in 7, 8 years who was in one county in South Texas. I mean, this is like, here's Kony, he's scary. Remember all that? Turns out the very same group that funded Kony funded this new video we're about to play. And I say this new one, it came out a month ago. And no one else did this. We went and looked at the footer on it and a bunch of the other videos, and they don't even hide it. This was run by the U.S. government, by the criminals that have hijacked it, I want to be clear. And then now Obama's like, now it's too early to call for military action. We need to not have military action ourselves, but don't you use your military, Ukraine, to put down these people that are burning half your country down, or half of Kiev down, and shooting police. And obviously, they've run the police back all the way to the parliament. They're about to take the government, and the police have started shooting people. It looks like it is snipers shooting protest leaders who've been leading armed attacks on the government. And again, if they weren't outside backed, if the Ukrainian government was really oppressive, I'd say these folks are heroes. No, they're backed by the same banks that have hijacked our country off of manufactured trendy videos to get their youth out there, useful idiots, and they're trying to implode that country into the EU. And so now Obama warns Kiev it's responsible for avoiding bloodshed and says they need to be responsible. He said that yesterday. But let's go to this short video of the young, attractive woman. You can tell it's shot in super high def, perfectly tuned camera. But it's meant to look like it's fake, or it is fake, Freudian slip. It's meant to look like it's real and grassroots, but it's fake. It's admittedly fake. Just like they would have on CNN live feeds on accident they put out going, you prepared for now the fake shooting? All right, bring in dead bodies. Shoot in 10 seconds. I am here, CNN. There are dead bodies. There is shooting. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it is, remember all that stuff? And the fake chemical attacks that it turned out were launched by Al-Qaeda out of Saudi Arabia to blame it on Assad? I mean, this is too much, folks, so that the Al-Qaeda forces could blow up hundreds of churches the week of Christmas, Catholic and Orthodox. This is just the globalists chewing up sovereign countries, destroying them through proxy wars. I'm going to go to Paul Watson with his detailed breakdown of this. This is a big deal, folks. And right after we exposed Coney, they blew up. They don't care them. Exclusive Ben Affleck to testify before Congress as an Africa expert. That's in Foreign Policy put out by the Washington Post. Ben Affleck, the guy that flies private jets exclusively, I happen to know for a fact, who said, hey, let the TSA do whatever you want. Shut up and go along with it. An arrogant establishment pud. Worse than Angelina Jolie. Just total, absolute pieces of garbage fakes. With his little CIA-produced, films about Iran and all this. What a disgusting joke. So he's now pushing the next wave of Coney invasion of Africa for resources, not even for the U.S., for the globalist. This is conquest and colonialism under the name of peace prize trendiness.